Hello, this is Jeff Ryle from Leica Systems in Houston, and today we're going to go over how to interface a Verizon Mi-fi Jetpack hotspot to a CS20. And this CS20 is an older CS20, that's 3G. So with the phase out of 4G coming in February 2022, this is a really good option if you want to keep using your older CS20. It's really critical to run the latest version firmware on the CS20. I think you can use this wizard we're going to show today if it's version 5.5 or later. If you have older firmware, I strongly recommend to update your firmware to take advantage of this easy setup. If you do have, before you load firmware, or if you had version 5.5, I recommend formatting the system RAM, internal memory, and Windows. And we had another video that went over that, just to start from a fresh start, and then we can recreate the work styles for the near and the IMAX from scratch, with them being interfaced to the WLAN. So we'll quickly go over the Jetpack information, just to overview the Jetpack, and then we'll go over the settings on the CS20 on the work style to make it work.
Okay, we're going to first take a look at the Jetpack from Verizon, and it's got a little power button up here, so just hit that, and then this will show the strength, and we're 4G LTE. The crucial thing, we also got to make sure it's charged. So this says 72% charge, and there's a little USB at the bottom. Make sure that's charged every day because it's not being powered from the CS20. The neat thing is if I just click on the Wi-Fi name and password, I've got this from a client, and the network name is Survey Equipment, and there's a password, capital S Survey $1. So I think this can be set up from Verizon when you pick it up. I would just make sure when you're at Verizon, make sure you have the longest lasting battery on the Jetpack possible. That way it can last all day. And just keep your password something simple. And then we'll set up on the CS20. Okay? And basically this would just sit close to the data collector in your pocket or strapped to the pole.
Really fast, we helped another client. He had the Verizon Hotspot 6620L model, and we had issues with that. We couldn't get it hooked up. They reset it. So I just want to tell you about that experience. Not to say that it's bad, but we took it back to Verizon. Didn't have much luck. So I'd recommend the 8800. If you have a choice, specify the 8800, not the 6620L version.
Okay, we're now at the CS20. This CS20 is interfaced to a GS14, and this is the older CS20. It's a 3G, 3.7G. So the key is with the phase out of 3G, you want to hook up to a 4G hotspot. So how do we do that? Right now we have hit the star key. I've got number 1, work style, and I can switch. I got a work style for max and near. So I can switch from max to near. And what we'll do is just keep it on the max for now, and let's take a look at the settings.
Before we get started, there's one setting we've got to put on the CS20. So if we come down here, it says we've got to enable the WLAN. So what we want to do is go to the settings option, and then number 6 in this case is the system, and then we'll hit number 3 in this case is regional. So it's settings, system, regional settings. And then what happens is we'll tab over to the others tab. You'll see a little box down here. It says switch to WLAN driver. This is really important. Do this first. So check this box. It'll reboot the CS20, and that enables the WLAN, and that enables us to go on to check the other settings.
So what I do is go to settings, connections, over the connections, and then the first tab appears the CS connection. And right now CS Internet WLAN. So let's hit F3 edit. We'll take a look, and we have the checkbox and it says WLAN. So I can select WLAN. Now what happens is this is already set up with the survey equipment. When you first set up, hit the search button, and it'll come up and show you there's your survey equipment, and that's the one that we want to hook up to. Right now, since it's hooked up to, I'll just come down here and and hit this Wi-Fi just to show you how to type in the password. So if I hit OK, it'll say WLAN, and you can click on this little box to display the password. And that's where we would have typed in that survey1 $sign. Okay? So the neat thing is once that's set up, it's hard for the crew to go in there and change it, but you can look at the network name and we have the right device hooked up on the WLAN. And with the new firmware, that's really critical because it just simplifies the process. We'll hit OK, and now we're going to be using WLAN to get on the internet. If I come over to GS Connections, it's set up just like we have before. I'll hit Edit, F3 Edit for RTK Rover. And under RTK Data, the first tab, we have to have it checked, and we use CS Internet number 1. And that's going to point towards the Jetpack, RTCM3 data.
Real quickly, there's one more setting in the RTK data. If you check the box, receive RTK network information, I normally then set it the behavior to show only. And what's really neat, here's a picture from a field crew, but if you have, especially for larger firms, that they have a lot of rovers out there, let's say there's two rovers that by mistake have the same username and password. If they try to log in at the same time, then it can cause a problem. If we check these settings here, then the field crew will see this message over here, information from the reference network, too many concurrent connections. And that could save a lot of problems in the field. If you got two rovers kicking each other off and on, it could take a while to figure that out. So this is a real handy setting to put on any RTK profile.
If I come to RTK Network, we have a checkbox and we have IMAX. So on the near, we change the work style, the network type will be nearest, not IMAX. We'll hit OK. And then we'll hit Control F4 down here when that's highlighted. And the server to use, if we hit Enter and Edit, just like we've done in the past, F3 Edit, the name is Texas Smartnet, and the IP is tx.smartnetna for NorthAmerica.com, port 10,000. If you page over to Ntrip, that's where the username and password is typed in, just like if you're using a SIM card. So that's all the same. And then we hit Source and pick MSN IMAX. So as doing the near, we pick MSN near. That's the difference between the IMAX and the near. So we'll hit OK. Let's take a quick look on the main screen. We'll click on the @ sign, and you'll notice that there's no bars. So you're either on the internet or off, and we'll click on there, go to Internet Status. If I go to the second tab called Network Information, it says there's your device name, it's secure, excellent signal strength, and that way we know we're on the internet. So if I'm under my job called Test, we'll hit the measure screen, hit OK. And now we're in the screen to collect data. Let's just make sure everything pumps data. We'll click up on here for track in GR and European, and we'll hit the cell phone and say start streaming data. You can also have a hotkey, and then it should take around 20 seconds. The arrow will start pumping in, and then the CQs will start counting down. Okay, and there's the fix. And now we're on the internet using a Jetpack. We're interfaced to SmartNet, receiving data. If I click on the cell phone icon again, hit RTK data link status, that shows the number of salaries for tracking and the IMAX correction. Okay, so we're using 8 GPS, 4 GLONASS, and 4 Galileo. All right, and that's just a quick overview. Once again, we use 6.5, the current firmware version. The advantage of the current firmware, if you're going to go to a Jetpack, upgrade your firmware, make sure you format your system before you upgrade the firmware, and set your work styles up from scratch. The new firmware versions make this interface to a Jetpack a lot easier.